Thanks, Mario, for the very flattering and untrue introduction. Yeah. So I am incredibly tired as well. Yeah, confused at the same time. I just arrived from 15 hours from Kuala Lumpur. I just ended my consulting with Samsung about 17 hours ago. So right away, I'm right here. Couldn't get an Uber cab here. Got a little confused as well. But it's my first time in Vienna. I'm very, very happy to be here. So far, from what we saw for the past 1 hour, it's a beautiful city. So we would love to see a little bit more about Vienna. And today I'm going to talk about the Silicon Valley East, right? I know this talk is supposed to be about Silicon Valley meets Austria. But somewhere in the East, especially Southeast Asia, right, there's a little country called Singapore. It's an island nation. It's a really, really small country. There's about 5 million population. There's about 40% who are not Singaporeans, citizens, right? So it's a very global city. So I think that's a lot of relevance that I can share with you and you can relate to. But before we go further, who the hell am I? So my name is Keith, and I'm not that young. I'm actually 32 this year. And I'm the co-founder and hustle ninja of Gamechangers. And Gamechangers is a world's simplest gamification platform, and we would love to share a little bit more. So we are trying to solve this primary problem, right? Learning sucks. And what we think about gamification is that it can motivate people to learn a lot further. It can motivate people to enjoy the process of learning, which is not happening right now. And we have a technology that allows you to create applications and games very, very quickly out from different challenges, from quizzes, passcode challenges, fill in the blank in just about 5 minutes. And I have a little game for you, right? If you tweet me and if you mention my name or mention Gamechangers and hashtag Spirit Vienna, you get a chance to win free coupons on Gamechangers. And you might even stand a chance to win a mobile app that we are going to develop for you. It's completely white label to your brand. All right, if you don't have Twitter, right, you can email me instead. Okay, so now that I talk about my company, I would like to share a little bit more about my life. So I am crazy about games since I was young, but I want to talk a little bit about German. So I've actually learned German when I was 13. It's compulsory in my school. It's the only school in Singapore that forces you to learn German. Incredibly difficult language, right, for somebody who hasn't spoken that for your whole life. And I actually learned it at 13. I forgot all of it. I only remember 2 words: Guten Tag and Auf Wiedersehen. Right? These are the only 2 I know. Have you guys heard of Counter-Strike? Great. So those are my generation, right? 30 and above. All right. So I'm a renowned Counter-Strike camper. So by camper, we hide in corners and we shoot at people as they're passing by. Today, I'm a reformed compulsive gamer. And that's why I'm doing whatever I'm doing, because I love how game psychology can drive people to do things. I don't sleep for nights, right, playing games. Almost died. I almost went bankrupt for Gamechangers, right, because we were, there was some financial mismanagement. So we weren't able to master the art of being prudent in starting out a company. And we almost went bankrupt. Just before we went bankrupt, we went on this TV show called Angel's Gate. And we decided that, okay, let's check it out, right? We can't pay for the bills. Maybe we have a chance to win maybe $10,000 to $20,000. Have any one of you been in a situation where you couldn't pay any bills at all? Have anyone ever been in a situation where because you didn't pay any bills, you were cut, your life has been cut off from electricity and water? Wow. You should hang out. Yeah, you should hang out. Yeah. I've been through that stage, and it's the worst, most horrible experience ever, right? Especially with your teammates. But we went on TV, right? We pitched what we called Gamechangers today, having a platform to create games, challenges to get people to do social good, and we actually won $200,000. It's a big deal in 5 minutes, right? You heard of companies that go through 6 months of funding, discussions, and got $1 million of funding. This is $200K in 5 minutes. So that's my claim to fame. So today, we are very glad to be saying that we have revived. We are now no longer a zombie. We are now Gamechanging for Shell, Samsung, Standard Chartered Bank, Accenture, so on and so forth. So we have a lot of big brands signing up. Okay, so I'm playing that startup game right here in this tiny island called Singapore. Have anyone been here other than Mario? Quite a handful, yeah. So it's a little small country. And to illustrate how small it is, I'm going to show the map of Vienna right here. And it, you know, I kind of did an outline, as you can see just now. I did an outline of Singapore, and I slapped it onto Vienna. So this gives you some perspective, how small Singapore really is. And to make it even more clearer, I zoom out, and you can see Singapore is really such a small outline. So Singapore is a city that I sometimes don't get. This is a genetically modified tree in Singapore. It's by Gardens by the Bay. Mario, did you come here by any chance? No, yeah. It's now the #1 tourist spot in Singapore. It's genetically modified. It lights up at night. It's beautiful. So Singapore is a place where I grew up, but I did my exchange in Belgium. I studied Dutch as well, right? I consider myself a global citizen. But we do have some wow startups, some startups that are really, really impressive, other than Gamechangers, of course. So I would like to share the story of Zoping. So Zoping is a live chat software. You guys might have heard of Olak. Have anyone heard of Olak? Yeah, so before Olak, there was Zoping. So they provide a little small region on websites where it pops up whenever you go on the website and says, what are you doing over here? Do you need some help? And you can live chat with the person. So Zoping was only acquired by Zendesk for 30 million last month, about 2 months back. And Zendesk went on the IPO about 2 weeks back, right? So those guys are now freaking rich, right? These 5 guys are my friends. I'm very, very happy for them. Vicky, anyone heard of Vicky? Great. So Vicky got acquired for 200 million. 2 guys, I believe, one from Stanford, one from Harvard, got invited by the Singapore government to move out from Silicon Valley all the way to Singapore to enjoy lots of incentives, right? Incentives with $. And, so I wouldn't consider them a true blue Singapore startup, but they have been developed by a lot of Singaporeans. The government invites them, it gives them incentives to hire Singaporeans. And these guys, they have a platform to allow people to do crowdsourcing and translating Korean dramas into English subtitles. So they have millions of members active every day. Extremely impressive. Pirate 3D, another company that is started by 2 friends, they went to Kickstarter and presented the concept of the world's cheapest 3D printer that starts from $200 USD. And I think they're one of the record-breaking guys who have raised more than $1 million on Kickstarter in just about a month, right? We raised 200,000 in 5 minutes. Those guys raised $1 million in a month. Okay, you guys recognize that? That's not a sushi, that's a thumb drive. So thumb drive is actually a Singapore invention, right? This is one of the best kept secrets that nobody really knows. I have a lot of theories why nobody remembers that it's a Singapore invention. But we do have some interesting technology innovation going on. And let's talk about government with the $sign and strong incubators. So over the past few years, there's a lot of VCs, incubators that came back from Silicon Valley and going all the way to Singapore. And of course, with the invitation of Singapore government. And I myself I wouldn't call victim, but a subject of somebody who's been offered about 30,000 USD to start a company, right? And back then I was like, why don't I give it a try? Maybe if I fail, I could do other things. And it's been 6 years. I haven't done any other things except running a company. So, it does work. And I'm also a mentor at JFDI. JFDI stands for Joyful Frog Digital Incubator. Yeah. So they are I would say, the mafia incubator right now in Singapore. All right, we have a lot more rock stars. I apologize. I'm not trying to say Razer. I'm trying to say R-A-Z-E-R. Razer is a hardware company that deals a lot with games, gaming hardware. And I think they are en route to going IPO. Tremendously big company. It's actually a Singapore company that's actually moved out from Singapore all the way to US. We have Garena, which is an online gaming company. We have Carousel, which is an app for you to take a picture of what you want to sell and put it on the marketplace. And Trade Hero is gamification of stock trading. There's quite a lot of smart money going on as well. Golden Gate Ventures, started by 2 guys, obviously from Silicon Valley, right, San Francisco, going all the way to Singapore. And we have TNF and Crystal House, which is actually my investor. All right, so in the past 12 months, there's been more than $300 million worth of acquisitions, just in the last 12 months alone. And there's a much bigger list over here that you can take a look at in tech in Asia. And I kid you not, some people actually think that we are the new Silicon Valley, right? If you do a search on Singapore, Silicon Valley, you get a list of results suggesting that Singapore could go that way. But I don't work for the government, right? I'm not here to promote Singapore. I funded myself to fly here, right? So my goal is to share with you some innovative ideas, some tips and practices for innovating out of Silicon Valley, right? Austria is out of Silicon Valley, Singapore is out of Silicon Valley. And from what I understand, especially Vienna, it's a small place. Austria is pretty much, the population is not tremendous compared to US. So here are my top 10 list, right? And why am I credible enough to be talking to you about this? I have failed, right? So I think that puts me in a very strong position to tell you what not to do. Okay, so the very first thing, I think we have to unbelieve that SV hype, right? We have to unbelieve that SV, because SV is not a place. This is what a lot of people don't understand. SV is an idea, and it doesn't work in every single place. You can't just bring a concept and bring it to anywhere else in the world and say that, let's plug it in, let's get users, and we get bought out. It hasn't happened yet in Asia, just based on this premise. It has happened in US, it has happened in Silicon Valley, but not in Asia. And I haven't seen that in Europe, so a lot of that in Europe. You guys must be familiar with this joke. 1 million guys walk into Silicon Valley, none of them buy anything, the buy is declared a rousing success. But I'm not asking you to stop being crazy, right? You have to have some craziness in you. These startups are still crazy to me. Twitter, Snapchat, Viki, and Vibis. Vibis is actually a sex toy for single women, right? Controlled by the iPhone. Originated from Singapore, by the way, right? Of all countries, right? So I still think those guys are crazy, right? But they're doing really well. I think it's important to show your ambitions very, very right ahead, thinking about how you can go to a global market. So Singapore is a really small country. There's 5 million of us. I don't think it is the largest market I know of, right? So we have to think very quickly from day one, how can we get to the US market? How can we get to the European market? How can we get out even to our neighbors, Malaysia, Indonesia? But if you couldn't figure out a way to scale it like what Zoping has done. So Zoping is a cloud solution, right? And it's just $20 per company, but they have a lot of such companies. They have more than 100,000. And they wouldn't take any cost. They wouldn't take any face-to-face consultation. They say, if you want to get some support, you email us. So they have been very, very good at that. But there are some business that just couldn't work if you don't meet people face-to-face. So the only way for you is actually get out. So in the case of Razer, which is a very, very popular gaming hardware company, they actually went all the way to the US to spread and evangelize their products. Okay, I think partnerships are very, very important. So you guys know BFF stands for Best Friend Forever. In our company, we actually created a partnership program to get companies to come in for free, and we'll actually help them and provide them gamification solutions. So we think that partnerships is the strongest way to grow in a very, very small country to get out to the global market. From alliances as well. So these alliances could be different companies of different natures coming together and sharing framework and sharing ideas. You guys know what BFFL stands for? Nobody? It's best friend for life, right? This is a new terminology. So in a very small country like Singapore, it doesn't make sense to be a copycat. There's no use copying because it's just a 5 million population, right? If you copy, right, you're still serving a small little 5 million population. Instead, if you really love an idea and that's been done by somebody who is a lot more established than you, I would recommend you to steal the idea like a boss. Steal the idea, don't copy. Steal and make it your own, modify, and make some innovations. And at least in Singapore, we are a huge fan of lean startup methodologies. I think it was by Eric Ries. And it's all about launching a product in the most minimum viable form. And then you test a lot. You test very obsessively. Later on, you do a lot of customer discovery, and then you do a pivot. And to show you an example, this is a new app that we just launched. It's called Selfie. So Selfie is Instagram meets selfie challenges. So to be honest, we have no idea whether is there even a demand for this product. But because we have a platform that allows us to create games in just like 5 minutes and 10 minutes, so we created it, we put it out in the App Store, and we are still discovering our users right now. So we go through the exact same stages over here. I think Selfie may not be what I wanted it to be today, right? It can be for selfie challenges, but one day it can be selfies for crazy people, right? It could be a social network that way. And I don't care because all I care about is getting users that I can monetize from. Okay, so I think there was some discussions about failing. You know, Asians are terrified of failing, right? Fail is a very, very big vulgarity in Singapore. But there's actually really nothing wrong to fail. There's nothing wrong with failing. If you had to fail, make sure you learn, you get up fast, and you find the right teammates if you need to. Sometimes it means that you have to abandon your current teammates. And this is something I can identify with, right? You have to be very, very shameless. And by shameless, you get to know people. You have to ask for favors. You have to ask for meetings. And I shamelessly asked Mario to actually send me here to have a speaking engagement, right? And here I am today. And I'm so glad to meet all of you. If I wasn't shameless, I wouldn't be here. So being shameless actually brought a lot of privileges for me so far. And I think I will stick by this strategy. Okay, so with that, I would like to wrap up my presentation by showing this beautiful sky view of Singapore. But very, very quickly, right, I have 6 areas that if you guys are keen on engaging me to talk about further, right, maybe over a coffee or beer, I'll be happy to discuss anything about all this, right? But just a quick show of hands, who will be interested in the Asian market over here? Okay, quite a handful.
Like Asia's part of the world.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah. And who is interested about fundraising in Asia? Okay, this is a very, very taboo topic. It's very, very difficult as well. And who will be interested to know about our journey, about getting big clients on board? Because we are a very, very tiny startup, right? And we have spent a lot of time trying to get guys like Shell, IBM, Accenture to become our resellers even. Yeah. So I'll be happy to engage with you on these discussions. So with that, I would like to wrap up my presentation. Thank you so much. My name is Keith Ng, and thank you again, Mario, for sending me here. Cheers.